Hi everybody, Dave Sullivan here for the MMLA Membership Committee with
Dave Stevens, CEO of the Mortgage Bankers Association.
Thank you so much for coming out to Northern Michigan.
Great to be here.
What are a few of the things that you're going to cover while you're here for your speech?
I'm going to share a little bit about economic data and what we should expect to see from a forecast standpoint, what it means for mortgage originations.
Okay.
But I'm also going to talk about Washington and what people should expect, because Washington's literally come to life over the past few months. Bills on both sides, president
Sure.
making a speech, and things are moving. So.
Okay, so what kind of legislative changes do you think are, I mean, obviously we've got a huge date, January 10th, coming up.
Right.
So what do you think that's going to have, what kind of impact will that have on that?
So, you know, the January implementation date for most of the rules is extraordinary. And so that's a conversation with Richard Cordray, who's head of
Right.
the CFPB, and I meet with him frequently. And we're working with him to talk about what happens if the industry isn't completely ready but making a good effort to. We're hoping that there'll be
Okay.
some flexibility there. I'm not certain that'll be the case.
Right.
But you know, when I was FHA commissioner, introduced the RESPA rule, we put out a rule that said after the implementation date, if you were making a good faith effort to implement RESPA, we would not enforce for the first 6 months. So something
Okay.
like that gives a little breathing room. So that's the rules side of it. Legislatively, there's an FHA bill that just went through the committee. It's bipartisan. Only had one no vote. It's going to go through the whole Senate, I believe. Has big impacts to indemnification rules. Everybody should read that. If you don't have it, get a hold of me at MBA or get a hold of MMLA.
Yeah, I'll put a link down below.
Good.
To that, if that's okay.
That's great. And then there's two other bills, obviously, the Henseling bill in the House, which eliminates all guarantees altogether. It's got extraordinary challenges. And then there's the Corker-Warner bill in the Senate. So, you know, a lot of GSE reform on the other sides.
And, I mean, obviously this is still early, but when do you see all that coming to fruition? I mean, we're probably a year or so out at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we can all be confident of this time, no matter how much you may or like or not want the change, things are going to change. Washington has literally come alive. The president made a speech about reforming Fannie and Freddie.
Right.
Both bills reform Fannie and Freddie. They're bipartisan, not the House bill, but the Senate bill is. We're going to see a lot of agitation through the winter. Then we're going to kick into midterm elections. Midterm elections will slow everything down.
Right.
But in the second half of this presidency, the final 2 years, I think we're likely at this point to see a real GSE reform bill. So that's why we all need to be inside. We've got to be making sure we're trying to craft or direct traffic as much as possible, so that they don't destroy the pure foundation of a government guarantee.
And that's great, and we appreciate all that you do for us out there. You're the perfect guy for the job. So thank you.
Appreciate that, Dave.
And one thing I wanted to follow up, though, you said that the CFPB might be a little bit more lenient as these things come into effect. Do you think that that's occurred recently? Is that a change? Are they a little bit more flexible now that, you know, Cordray was confirmed? And
yeah, first of all, they're not signaling they're going to be lenient. They're telling everybody they're not going to be.
Yeah.
I was a regulator, and I told the industry the same thing. You want them working like crazy to get everything implemented, but he's not going to let that system disrupt. So I think there'll be.
Oh, good.
I believe that Rich has common sense. I've worked closely with him. We may not like Dodd-Frank. We may not like the CFPB.
Right.
But it's not his fault. He's actually pretty good at the job.
Right.
And so. If we can get him to throw the Hail Mary at the last minute if the industry's not ready, and at least give some flexibility around enforcement, gives us all time to see how we're all implementing the rules. You may remember with RESPA, we all wanted to see how other people were doing disclosures and how we disclosed points and fees and broke out broker comp and et cetera. We're going to need to do the same thing here with QM and with LO comp and with servicing rules. So. Big issues affecting the industry. Good news is, I'm going to talk about the future of housing and the purchase market. This is not a false positive. There's real growth, and I'm going to share some data from Harvard and elsewhere. And you can feel free to send that presentation around.
Okay. I'll link up at the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be
Excellent.
great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet, Dave. Okay. Yeah, great to be here.